always wanted a life between life session. I had done research about it, read many people's experiences, not only the clients or however you phrase that, I read their experiences, but I also read several hypnotherapist experiences to kind of get a feel for what it was about. I also had a past life regression through a professional, and then I also did a few alone that were kind of enlightening. And so I wanted to go deeper. I wanted to find out what it was like in that place, questioning my relationship with my wife, why we are together. We were going through some really difficult times, and many people question why I remained. I was curious about the loss of my father and my brother at such a young age. And I was also curious about my higher self because I never found that I never felt like I had one. What always came through was the Ancient of Days, which later Julia and I found out that was my higher self kind of playing a practical joke on me and saying, yeah, I joke with you about that. And I just called myself the Ancient of Days just to kind of jack with you. Just call me Jack. So finding Julia and having this experience with her was pretty powerful. Honestly, I still have not gone back and listened to it. So everything I have is straight from memory and how it made me feel. She first walked me through some childhood memories, and then we went back through the womb to where I was with my mother and my relation there. And I found that while I was in the womb, the feelings I had there, they didn't surprise me about how I felt about my mother still. They're still the same feelings. Connected but disconnected. You know, I love her, but I'm okay without her around. Yet I still feel a sense of protectiveness and making sure that she's okay. But I never felt like she needed to make me okay, which to me, I still think is pretty cool and interesting that I felt that way then. And then we went through a past life, and that past life was very shocking to me. In this life, I'm a healer, I'm a giver, I'm a lover, I take care of people, and I try to help people. In that life, I was not nice. I was not nice at all. And I was a Mexican fighter pilot, which confused me because I didn't even know there was not to take anything away from that, but I never knew in our history, that Mexicans sent pilots during that war. And I didn't even know it was a thing. And to be that person who was shot down, parachuted out, waking up injured, and going through the process of healing, going back home and finding out that I was a complete asshole was really hard for me because I'm nice. And this guy was not nice. He wasn't nice to his children. He wasn't nice to his wife. He was respected in his community, but no one really felt camaraderie really with him. And the feelings I had as him going through his life, I was so shocked because I never would have thought my soul would have done that. I committed suicide. And I found out that my son in that life was the one holding space for me to try to heal me, to try to love me, to try to be there for me. And I put people through a lot of really bad things. And feeling that, I think it kind of humbled my soul, honestly. It really humbled me. And then Julia brought me through the tunnel, and we went to the other side, however we want to call that. I don't remember exactly what I said, and I felt myself alone and solemn and gray, and I didn't feel very many people around me. And then I did, and suddenly it was like my group was there, and they took me to a stone building that was as tall as a skyscraper, and they stretched my entire soul from top to bottom within that. I was placed inside of it, and every part of me was opened. Every cell was examined, and everything was seen, and every person I affected in my life as that man, I felt it, I saw it, and I realized what I did to people and how I acted. And it really was very emotional. It was a hard thing to visit, but very important for me to feel that. Because even though I did that, I still had people holding space and loving me in the background. And that was so important. Then she took me to the next stage, I guess, it was meeting with my higher group. There was a few other things that happened that I think were really cool, but I don't know that they were as important as this one. I remember when I was in the stone, I felt it all as if I were that person experiencing, or that soul experiencing it in that moment. The next stage, I felt like I was watching myself become encoded with who I was to be now. I saw my soul stretched out like how the Native Americans skin a buffalo and they have it all stretched out on I forget what, scaffold or whatever. And my entire soul was stretched out on that. And I remember watching as light was being encoded within my soul. And so I'm in the background watching it happen to me. And then there were also TV monitors, it seemed like, where I was able to see or make choices and choose what was going to happen. And we were talking about it. I couldn't hear what was being said, but it was like everyone over there was talking about what was happening and being placed inside my soul. And I thought that was so cool. And then when we spoke to Jack, my higher guy, and he let me know he was my Ancient of Days, I thought that was pretty funny. It really, really was funny. And when it kind of all came together that in my life now, I had to be the one who was holding space for my wife for some of the things, and not that she's not an asshole like I was in that life. There were things in our relationship that weren't perfect, and there were actions that were taken that didn't feel good, but I was the one holding space for her healing, for things that she needed to experience. And so by having that come through, that someone held space for me and I agreed to hold space for her, it really humbled me again. And it made me feel empowered in who I am now. And I like it. And I feel a little bit more freedom. I don't feel chained or hooked or made to be here. I did it because I chose to, and I feel good about it. And so the whole experience was the hours that it took to get from A to B didn't exist while we were in session. And I didn't notice the time that had passed until at the very end. That's when I felt the time pass. And it was quite an exhilarating experience. And I would urge anyone to take the time and go through the process and let what comes through come through. You never know what message you're going to get. No concerns. I was actually really excited about what I was going to experience. I was excited to meet whoever it was I was going to meet, and I'm excited to feel those feelings. And I can't say that I recall. I mean, there's always a little bit of nervousness. What's going to happen? Is something going to come through? Am I going to see what I want to see? But no, I can't say I was really that concerned. I was more concerned about things that were happening in my current life, I think. I would say do it. I've already referred Julia out to so many people. I don't know if they've contacted Julia, but I have absolutely referred which I didn't do the entire birthing. I forget the name of what she does, but I've referred people to that and also to the Life Between Life sessions. And I wonder about her patience that's sitting for so many